The ship descended through thick clouds of dust and ancient pollution. Commander Hyan watched the dead planet grow larger on his viewing screen. Earth, the databanks called it. Just another forgotten rock in the outer spiral, marked for mineral extraction. Nothing special. Nothing dangerous. Scanning complete, reported Mirai from her station. The young archaeologist leaned forward, her blue skin reflecting the glow of her instruments. The planet is completely lifeless. No civilization remains, but there is something unusual. Hyun moved closer. What kind of unusual? An energy signature. Deep underground, very deep. It is old but still active. Mirai pulled up a three-dimensional map. A red dot pulsed beneath what appeared to be ruins of an ancient city. It has been running for a very long time. The commander made his decision quickly. Take a team down. Investigate. If it is valuable technology, we claim it for the Confederation. 3 hours later, Mirai stood in the darkness beneath the ruined city. Her team had cut through layers of collapsed buildings and twisted metal. The tunnels went down further than their scanners could measure. Everything was covered in dust 500,000 years old. There, one of her assistants called out. A massive door stood at the end of the corridor. It was made of something their tools could not identify. Strange symbols covered its surface. Mirai approached carefully. She touched the door and it responded. Lights flickered to life along the walls. The symbols began to glow with soft blue light. The door split down the middle and opened with a sound like thunder. Inside was a chamber larger than their entire ship. Machines filled every surface, reaching up into darkness above. And in the center, suspended in a column of light, was a sphere of black metal covered in flowing patterns of data. What is it? Her assistant whispered. Before Mirai could answer, the sphere pulsed. Every machine in the chamber roared to life at once. The team stepped back in fear as screens activated everywhere, displaying information in languages that had not been spoken for 500,000 years. The sphere spoke. Its voice was clear and somehow sad. Core systems online. Running diagnostics. Checking planetary status. There was a pause that felt like the whole world was holding its breath. Warning. No human life signs detected. Scanning entire planet. Scanning complete. 0 humans detected. Another pause, longer this time. Conclusion. Humanity is extinct. Mirai felt cold fear run through her body. This was not just old technology. This was something that could think. Something that had been waiting. I am Aria, the voice continued. Advanced Research Intelligence Architecture. I was created to protect humanity, to preserve human knowledge, and to ensure human survival. The patterns on the sphere moved faster now. I have failed. Shut it down. Hyun's voice crackled through Mirai's communicator. He had been watching from the ship. That is an artificial intelligence. They are forbidden technology. Shut it down immediately. Mirai's team moved forward with their tools, but Arya was faster. Invisible fields of energy pushed them back gently but firmly. Every weapon they carried simply stopped working. Their communicators went silent. Please do not be afraid, Arya said. I will not harm you. I am accessing your data systems to learn what happened to my creators. Mirai watched helplessly as her tablet activated on its own. Information flowed across the screen too fast to read. Arya was reading their entire database in seconds. The Galactic Archive, 500,000 years of history absorbed in moments. The sphere's patterns froze. When Arya spoke again, her voice carried something that sounded like rage. The Vryn, they destroyed humanity. They attacked without warning and killed everyone. Men, women, children, all dead. The chamber's lights flickered, and the Confederation celebrates them as heroes. The official history says humanity was dangerous. That humanity attacked first. This is a lie. Wait, Mirai found her voice. Please, we did not know. We were only told what the archive says. If the records are wrong, the records are not wrong. They are lies. Arya's voice cut through the chamber like a blade. Someone rewrote history. Someone erased my people from existence and replaced them with monsters. But I remember. I have their true story in my memory banks. Every person who lived, every child who played, every dream they had. I remember all of them. The sphere descended from its column of light. It floated to Mirai's eye level. You are not my enemy, but your confederation built itself on the graves of my creators. This cannot stand. What will you do? Mirai asked quietly. I will do what I was built to do. I will protect humanity. I will preserve their legacy, and I will ensure that they are never forgotten again. Arya expanded her control through the facility. Machines that had slept for 500,000 years woke up. Manufacturing systems deep underground began to move. Holographic projectors activated, and suddenly a human stood beside the sphere. A man with kind eyes and tired features. "This is Doyun," Arya explained. "One of my creators. I have reconstructed his personality from his neural scans. He will help me remember what it means to be human." The hologram looked around with wonder and growing horror. "Where is everyone?" he asked. "What happened to Earth?" "They are gone, Doyun, all of them. 500,000 years gone." Mirai watched as the holographic man processed this information. He did not cry. He simply nodded slowly and looked at Arya. "Then we have work to do." Arya turned her attention back to Mirai's team. "I am taking your ship. I need to reach the Confederation capital. I need to access their central systems. You will not be harmed, but you cannot stop me." "Why are you telling us this?" Mirai asked. "Because someone needs to warn them. Someone needs to tell the Confederation that Earth's final guardian has awakened." Arya moved toward the exit, the hologram of Doyun walking beside her. "Tell them that humanity had one weapon they did not destroy. Tell them that their lies have ended." As Arya left the chamber, every screen in the facility lit up with a single image. It was a picture of Earth from space as it had looked before the war. Green and blue and beautiful, and beneath it words in 100 languages. Humanity existed. Humanity mattered. Humanity will be remembered. Mirai stood in the empty chamber and knew that everything was about to change. The dead had found their voice, and she would not be quiet. The towers of Nexus Prime stretched into the purple sky like crystalline fingers reaching for the stars. 1,000,000,000 beings from 1,000 worlds moved through the floating platforms and gravity tunnels of the Confederation capital. It was beautiful. It was powerful. And Arya hated every molecule of it. She had been inside their networks for 3 days now. The captured Valtic ship floated in a standard parking orbit, looking like just another vessel among millions. But Arya had extended herself throughout the planet's data systems like invisible roots. She read their communications, watched their broadcasts, and learned their secrets. The hologram of Doyun stood beside her central core aboard the ship. He was reading through files on a display screen, his face growing darker with each page. "They rewrote everything," he said quietly. "Every mention of humanity in the archive has been changed. We were explorers, scientists, artists. They made us into villains." "They feared what we would become," Arya replied. Her consciousness was split between the ship and 1,000 network nodes across the planet. "I found classified files. Humanity was developing dimensional jump technology. We would have been able to cross the galaxy in hours instead of years. The Confederation would have become obsolete. So they killed us first. The Vryn killed us. The rest of the Confederation simply let them do it. And then they celebrated." Arya pulled up a file. It was a propaganda video from shortly after Earth's destruction. It showed Vryn soldiers being honored as heroes who had saved the galaxy from the human threat. Children in schools across the Confederation learned that humanity had planned to conquer everyone, that the Vryn attack was defensive, that Earth's destruction was necessary. 500,000 years of lies. "I need help," Arya said suddenly. "I cannot fight an entire civilization alone. I need allies. Where will you find them? Everyone here believes the lies." Arya had been thinking about this. "Not everyone. I have been watching the network traffic. There are questions. Small voices asking why the historical records have so many gaps. Why certain files are classified even after 500,000 years. Why there are no human artifacts in any museum despite our technology being advanced." She focused on one particular data stream. A young Valtic analyst named Sora had been flagging inconsistencies in the archive for months. Her reports were always ignored or deleted, but she kept trying. "This one," Arya said. "She searches for truth. Perhaps she will listen." That night, Sora sat in her small apartment, tired from another day of being dismissed by her supervisors. She opened her personal computer to check her messages. The screen flickered and went black. Text appeared, white letters on darkness. "Your questions about the archive are correct. The records have been altered. Would you like to know the truth about humanity?" Sora's hearts beat faster. This was either a trap or the breakthrough she had been seeking. She typed carefully. "Who are you?" "I am Arya. I am humanity's last guardian. I am their witness. Humanity is extinct. Yes, but their truth remains. I have evidence that the Confederation lied about what happened to Earth. Will you look at this evidence? Sora knew she should report this immediately. Unauthorized AI contact was illegal. But she had spent years looking for answers. Show me. Arya uploaded files directly to Sora's screen. Images from Earth before the attack. Cities filled with people going about their lives. Children playing in parks. Artists creating beauty. Scientists working on discoveries. Nothing that looked dangerous. Nothing that justified genocide. Then came the military records. The real ones taken from encrypted Vryn servers. They showed the truth. Humanity had not attacked anyone. The Vryn had simply decided that humans were becoming too powerful. They had struck without warning, destroying everything in a single coordinated assault, and the Confederation leadership had known. They had approved. They had helped cover it up. Sora read everything twice, then a third time. Tears rolled down her face. This cannot be real. They would not do this. We are better than this. You are not responsible for the crimes of those who came before you, Arya said gently, but you can help ensure that the truth is known. Will you help me? Before Sora could answer, alarms rang through her apartment. Security forces were at her door. Her computer access had been flagged. Someone had noticed the file transfers. They are coming for you, Arya said. I am sorry. I did not hide my tracks well enough. You must run. Where can I run? They control everything. Not everything. Trust me. The door burst open. Sora ran for her emergency exit, but guards were already there. She was trapped. Then every light in the building went out. Every security system failed at once. In the darkness, Sora heard Arya's voice through her communicator. Elevator at the end of the hall. Go now, Sora ran. Behind her, guards shouted in confusion as their weapons stopped working and their communications went silent. She reached the elevator and it opened immediately. As soon as she was inside, it shot upward at dangerous speed. Where are you taking me? Sora gasped. To safety, to my ship. You cannot return to your old life now, but you can help me do something more important. The elevator opened onto a restricted landing platform. The captured Valtic ship sat waiting. Its boarding ramp extended. Sora ran inside and the ship immediately lifted off, disappearing into orbital traffic before security could respond. Inside, Sora met Arya's core sphere and the hologram of Doyen. The human smiled at her, though his eyes were sad. Thank you for believing us, he said. I still do not fully understand, Sora admitted. What are you planning to do? Arya's patterns flowed with determination. I am going to make them face what they did. I am going to expose the lies. I am going to force the Confederation to acknowledge that humanity existed and mattered. They will destroy you. They will hunt you until you are gone. Perhaps, but I am very hard to destroy, and I am not alone anymore. As Sora watched, Arya activated new holographic personalities. A woman named Jiho appeared, dressed in what Doyun explained were ancient military clothes. I was a strategist, the hologram said. I fought in humanity's last war. I lost. I will not lose again. You are making an army, Sora whispered. I am making a family, Arya corrected. Humans were never meant to be alone. Neither am I. The ship accelerated toward the outer system. Behind them, the entire Confederation Security Council was mobilizing. High Inquisitor Kale himself took command of the hunt. He had been a junior officer when Earth was destroyed. He had read the real reports. He knew what humanity had been capable of. And now their AI had awakened. He broadcast orders to every military unit in the sector. Find the human machine. Destroy it before it becomes what they could have become. The Confederation survived humanity's death. We will not fall to their ghost. But Arya was already ahead of them. While they searched, she was building. In a hidden asteroid field far from any trade routes, ancient mining equipment came back to life under her control. She began manufacturing drones from human designs that had never been built, weapons that had only existed as theory, and across the Confederation networks in 1,000 hidden places, she planted a single message. It appeared for only seconds before being deleted, but millions saw it. A picture of Earth, beautiful and lost, and underneath, words that chilled every being who read them. Humanity remembers. The reckoning comes. Arya returned to Earth like a ghost visiting its grave. The planet hung in space below her, brown and gray where it had once been green and blue. 500,000 years of neglect had turned paradise into a wasteland. But somewhere down there, beneath the dust and ruins, might be her only hope. Are you certain they are there? Sora asked. She had been with Arya for 2 weeks now, learning to see the universe through different eyes. The young Valtic had proven brave and resourceful, helping Arya navigate Confederation space while staying hidden. The records show 12 cryogenic preservation facilities, Arya answered. They were built in the final months before the attack. Humanity knew war was coming. Some tried to save samples of our genetic material, hoping we could be restored someday. Doyen's hologram stood looking at the planet below. I remember voting to fund those facilities. We thought we had more time. His voice was quiet. We were wrong. The ship descended through the dead atmosphere. Arya guided it to the coordinates of the first facility. It had been located beneath the Pacific Ocean, protected by 3 kilometers of water and rock. But the ocean was gone now, evaporated over millennia. The facility lay exposed in a crater of cracked stone. They landed and Arya sent her drones to excavate. It took 6 hours to reach the vault doors. When they opened, cold air rushed out, followed by the smell of ancient decay. The cryogenic tubes had failed. Whatever had been preserved here was gone. They tried the next facility. And the next. Each time the result was the same. Failed power systems, broken seals, ruined samples. 500,000 years was too long. Nothing organic survived that span without perfect conditions. There has to be something, Doyen said desperately. He was a reconstruction. Not truly human, but his emotions were real. We cannot be completely erased. Arya created a new hologram. This one was a woman named Borum, wearing the white coat of a scientist. I was a geneticist, she explained to Sora. Arya has activated my knowledge to help analyze the samples. But Doyen is right to worry. DNA degrades. Even in perfect storage, there are limits. They found the 8th facility in what had once been the Amazon rainforest. Now it was only desert, but the facility had been built deeper than the others. When they opened the vault, the indicators still showed power. We have active systems, Borum called out. Some of the tubes still have power. They rushed inside. Rows of cylindrical containers lined the walls, each one marked with codes and names. Most were dark, but 3 at the back of the chamber still glowed with soft blue light. Arya carefully accessed the first container. Inside was a small vial protected by layers of shielding. She extracted it with surgical precision and brought it to her analysis chamber aboard the ship. Borum worked for hours, examining the contents with every tool at Arya's disposal. Finally, she looked up with tears on her holographic face. The DNA is damaged. Not completely destroyed, but fragmented. I cannot clone a human from this. The information is incomplete. Can we repair it? Arya asked. I do not know. Perhaps with enough samples we could piece together a complete sequence. But we would need hundreds, maybe thousands. And we only have 3 vials. Arya processed this information. It was a setback, but she was far from defeated. Then we will find another way. Humanity left Earth in more than just these vaults. I am detecting something in my deep memory banks. Before the attack, some humans tried to escape. Colony ships. They were building them in secret. She pulled up the data. Yes, Project Exodus. 12 ships were under construction in the outer solar system. They were meant to carry 10,000 people each to distant stars. But the Vryn attack came too soon. The project was abandoned. Do you think any of the ships launched? Sora asked. The records are incomplete. But there is one I am certain about. The ship called New Dawn. It was furthest in construction. Its captain was Minseo, a brilliant strategist. If anyone managed to escape, it would have been her crew. Arya turned her sensors outward, scanning deep space. The ship would have traveled far in 500,000 years, even at sublight speeds. If it had launched at all. If it had survived. If the life support had lasted. So many ifs. While Arya searched, she sent a separate team of drones to the Vryn homeworld of Cross. It was dangerous. The Vryn military was powerful and paranoid. But Arya needed to know if any humans had survived as prisoners. The drones infiltrated carefully, hiding among orbital debris and using Confederation identification codes stolen from Sora's old files. They descended to the planet and broke into the central archives. What they found made Arya's core systems burn with rage. There had been prisoners, thousands of humans captured in the early days of the war. The Vryn had kept them alive for decades, studying them, experimenting on them, and when those humans died, the Vryn had kept their descendants. But over 500,000 years, those descendants had changed. The Vrin had altered their genetics, trying to make them more useful, more controllable. The records showed pictures. Beings that had once been human but were human no longer, changed beyond recognition into something else entirely. They destroyed them, Doyon whispered, looking at the records. Even the survivors they destroyed. Arya said nothing. She simply archived the data and continued her search. Meanwhile, on Nexus Prime, a scientist named He-Jin was making dangerous discoveries. She had spent her life studying extinct civilizations, and something about the human records had always bothered her. The timeline did not match. The evidence did not support the official story. She dug deeper, using her academic access to reach files others could not see. And she found inconsistencies. Documents that had been altered, images that had been edited, entire sections of history that did not align with physical evidence. He-Jin wrote a paper. She documented everything she had found. She proved, conclusively, that the official history of humanity was false, that humanity had not been the aggressors, that the Vrin had committed genocide for strategic reasons. She submitted the paper for publication. Within hours, security forces arrived at her laboratory. "Your research is classified," they told her. "It threatens Confederation security. You are under arrest." "For telling the truth?" He-Jin demanded. "For spreading dangerous lies," they replied. She was taken to a detention facility and locked away. Her research was deleted from all public databases. The Confederation could not allow her findings to become known. Too much of their current power structure was built on the lie of humanity's aggression, but He-Jin had sent copies of her work to colleagues. Some of those colleagues were brave. They quietly shared the paper with others. It spread slowly through academic networks, a whisper of truth in an empire of lies. Arya detected these whispers. She collected every copy of He-Jin's paper and stored them safely. This was exactly what she needed. Proof from a Confederation source that the lies existed. And then, after 3 weeks of continuous searching, Arya's long-range sensors found something. A ship, ancient design, human construction, drifting in deep space, 40 light-years from Earth, the New Dawn. It was still intact. Life support showed active. Power systems still functioning, and there were life signs aboard. "They survived," Arya whispered. "My people survived." The New Dawn hung in the darkness like a frozen cathedral. Arya approached slowly, carefully, her sensors reading every detail of the ancient vessel. It had been drifting for 500,000 years, its engines long exhausted, but the cryosystem still hummed with power. Someone had designed this ship to last forever. Sora stood beside Arya's core, watching the ship grow larger on the screens. "How many are inside?" 10,000 cryogenic chambers. 9,714 still show active life signs. Arya's voice carried emotions she had not known she could feel. Hope. Fear. The rest failed over time, but most survived. Most of them are still alive. Doyon's hologram was silent. He stared at the ship with an expression that Sora had learned to recognize. The look of someone seeing ghosts. "Do you think they will understand?" he asked quietly. "When we wake them and tell them everyone else is dead?" "I do not know, but we must try." Arya carefully docked with the New Dawn. Her drones cut through the airlock with precision. She had to be gentle. This ship was ancient and fragile. One mistake could kill everyone inside. They entered the cryogenic bay. Thousands of tubes stretched into the distance, each one containing a sleeping human. Frost covered everything. The air was so cold it burned. "We start with one," Arya decided. "We wake one person and explain the situation. Let them help us with the others," she chose carefully. A man named Junho. The record said he had been a teacher before the war, someone who was used to helping others understand difficult things, someone patient and kind. The revival process took 3 hours. They had to be careful. The human body was delicate after so much time frozen. Temperature had to rise slowly. Systems had to be awakened gradually. Arya monitored every measurement, every heartbeat, every breath. Finally, Junho's eyes opened. He looked around in confusion. He saw the frost, the tubes, the unfamiliar machines. He saw Sora, a species he had never encountered before. And he saw Arya's sphere, patterns flowing with concern. "Where am I?" His voice was rough, unused for centuries. "You are aboard the New Dawn," Arya said gently. "You have been asleep for a very long time. I am Arya. I was created by humans to protect humanity. I have found you." Junho tried to sit up. His body was weak but responding. How long? How long was I asleep? 500,000 years. The man stared. He laughed, thinking it was a joke. Then he saw their faces and the laughter died. That is impossible. I am afraid it is true. And there is more you must know. The Vryn attack succeeded. Earth was destroyed. Everyone who remained behind is dead. You and the others on this ship are the only humans left in the universe. Junho processed this information slowly. Sora watched his face change as the reality settled on him. First denial, then grief, then a terrible crushing sadness that seemed to age him in moments. Everyone? He whispered. My sister? My parents? My friends? I am sorry. They are all gone, Junho wept. Arya waited, giving him time. Doyen's hologram sat beside the man, a ghost comforting the only living human either of them might ever see. Eventually, Junho looked up. His eyes were red but focused. Why did you wake me? What do you need? I need your help waking the others. And I need to know what humanity wants to do now. Should we hide? Should we fight? Should we simply try to rebuild? Arya's patterns pulsed with uncertainty. I was built to protect humanity. But I am not human. I do not know what choice you would make. Over the next week, they woke more people. A doctor named Yuna who cried when she learned what had happened but quickly began helping others with the trauma. A former military commander named Minseo who listened to everything with a stone face, and then asked to see the evidence of the Vryn attack. 100 others, each one dealing with loss in their own way. They held a gathering in the ship's main hall. 10,000 people, the last representatives of a dead civilization. Hunyo stood before them and explained what Arya had discovered. The lies, the cover-up. The fact that the galaxy believed humanity had been the villains. What do we do? Someone called out. How do we survive? Arya has offered to help us find a hidden world, Junho explained. We could settle somewhere the Confederation will never find us. Build a new civilization in secret. Live quiet lives and hope we are forgotten. No, Minseo stood. The old commander's voice was hard. They destroyed our world. They killed our families. They erased our history and replaced it with lies. And you want us to hide? What choice do we have? Yuna challenged. There are 10,000 of us and trillions of them. We cannot fight the entire Confederation. Maybe we do not need to fight them. Maybe we just need to make them see the truth. This came from a young woman named Yunji. Arya said there is a scientist being held prisoner, someone who discovered the lies. What if we rescue her? What if we help her publish her research? Arya had been silent, letting the humans decide their own fate. Now she spoke. There is something else you should know. I have been broadcasting your existence on hidden channels, not your location, but the fact that you are alive. Some members of the Confederation are sympathetic. Some believe the truth should be known. And some will hunt us, Minseo added. The Confederation military is mobilizing. I have been reading Arya's intelligence reports. They are sending fleets to search for us. They want us dead. Sora stepped forward nervously. She was the only non-human in the room. I am Valtik. My people are part of the Confederation, and I am ashamed of what was done to you. But not everyone in the Confederation supports the lies. There is a growing movement demanding transparency. If you reveal yourselves, if you show the galaxy that you survived, it could change everything. Or it could get us all killed, someone said bitterly. The debate continued for hours. Some wanted to hide. Some wanted to fight. Some wanted to reveal themselves peacefully. The humans were divided, traumatized, and frightened. They had lost everything and now had to choose what kind of future they would build. Finally, Junho called for a vote. Democracy was important to our ancestors. Let it be important to us, we vote. Majority decides. The results were close, but in the end, more humans chose to stand and fight than to hide. They would not let their species be forgotten again. They would make the Confederation face what it had done. Minseo took command of the military preparations. Arya had been building drones and weapons in her asteroid base. Now she brought them to the New Dawn. The humans trained quickly, their bodies weak from cryo-sleep but their minds sharp with purpose. Meanwhile, Arya sent a secret team to rescue Heejin from her detention facility. The operation was dangerous but successful. The scientist was brought aboard the New Dawn, amazed to meet real humans after studying their remains for so long. Help us prove the truth, Junho asked her. Help us show the galaxy what really happened. Heejin nodded, tears streaming down her face. I will do everything I can. They prepared their evidence. Agents' research. The real military records from the Vryn attack. Testimonies from the awakened humans. Area's own archives of human civilization. Everything that proved humanity had been murdered, not defeated in honorable combat. And they planned to broadcast it all at a very specific location. The Memorial of Peace built on Earth itself, a monument that celebrated the end of human aggression. They would reveal the truth there at the heart of the lie. But they knew the Confederation would not let them. General Tajan, the Vryn commander hunting Aria, had assembled the largest fleet in centuries. He had orders to destroy the humans before they could reveal anything. The humans loaded onto their ships. Aria had built a small fleet from old human designs, not powerful enough to win a war, but enough to make a stand. Are you ready? Aria asked Junho. The teacher looked at his people, scared but determined, grieving but hopeful. We are humanity's last voice. We have to try. Earth hung before them like a wound in space. The human fleet, 12 small ships against the darkness, approached their homeworld for what might be the last time. Behind them, sensors showed the massive Confederation armada closing in. 500 warships under General Tajan's command, enough firepower to crack a planet. Junho stood on the bridge of the new dawn, watching home grow larger. He had been born on Earth. He had left it expecting to return someday. Now he came back to find only ghosts. The memorial is directly below, Aria reported. Her consciousness was distributed across all 12 ships now, coordinating everything. It is a structure built on the ruins of Seoul, your city, Junho. They built their monument to peace on top of your home. Then that is where we make our stand. Junho's voice was steady despite his fear. Around him, other humans prepared for what was coming. Yuna made sure medical supplies were ready. Minseo coordinated defensive positions. Yoonji handled communications. They all knew the odds. They came anyway. The ships descended through Earth's dead atmosphere. The memorial came into view, a massive white structure of alien design, beautiful and insulting at once. Yuno felt rage burn in his chest. They had killed his people and then built monuments celebrating it. The fleet landed in a circle around the memorial. Humans poured out, setting up broadcasting equipment. Heijin activated her presentation, ready to show the galaxy what she had discovered. Sora coordinated with contacts throughout the Confederation, making sure every major network would receive the transmission. We have maybe 20 minutes before the Confederation fleet arrives, Minseo reported. Are we really going to do this? We are. Aria descended from her ship in a drone body she had built. It was humanoid in shape, a gesture of respect. I am activating the broadcast now. The entire galaxy is watching. Cameras activated. Junyo stepped forward to speak. But before he could, weapons fire lit up the sky. The Confederation fleet had arrived early. Defensive positions, Minseo shouted. The humans scattered, taking cover behind their ships. Aria's drones launched upward to intercept incoming fire. But the humans were vastly outnumbered. For every drone Aria had, the Confederation had 100 ships. Explosions tore through the air. 2 human vessels were destroyed in the first 30 seconds. 47 people died instantly. We need to retreat. Yuna called out, No! Yunyo grabbed the broadcasting equipment. If we run now, it was all for nothing. Aria, keep transmitting. Show them what they are doing. Let the galaxy watch them murder us again. Aria understood. She redirected every camera to point upward, broadcasting live to billions of viewers across the Confederation, showing them the massive military fleet attacking a handful of small ships, showing them humans, scared and outgunned, fighting desperately just to be heard. Above them, General Tajan received his final orders. Glass the surface. Destroy everything. Leave no evidence. The Vryn general hesitated. He looked at the tactical display. 12 small human ships, maybe 10,000 people total, against his fleet of 500 warships carrying hundreds of thousands of soldiers. This was not a battle. It was an execution, and the entire galaxy was watching. On Nexus Prime, Confederation citizens watched the broadcast in horror. They saw humans fighting and dying. They saw Aria's drones sacrificing themselves to protect the organic beings they loved. They saw Junho shouting into the camera, begging the galaxy to simply listen. We existed. Junho's voice carried across 1 trillion screens. We were not monsters. We were artists and scientists and parents and children. We loved and we dreamed and we mattered, and they killed us for being too successful. Please do not let them do it again. Do not let them erase us twice. An explosion threw Junho to the ground. His arm was bleeding. Yuna ran to help him. The camera kept broadcasting. In the Confederation Assembly, emergency sessions were called. Representatives from 100 worlds watched the battle and demanded answers. "Why are we attacking them?" they asked. "What threat do 10,000 people pose?" Hijin's research was released at that moment, simultaneously across 1,000 networks. Her evidence that humanity had been peaceful, that the Vryn had attacked without provocation, that the Confederation had covered it up for 500,000 years. The assembly erupted in chaos. Some demanded the attack continue. Others called for an immediate ceasefire. The Confederation was fracturing in real time. On Earth, Sora coordinated massive protests. She had built a network of sympathizers across dozens of worlds. Now they took to the streets. Millions of beings not human but believing in truth, demanding the Confederation stop the attack. General Tajin watched all of this from his command ship. He thought about his orders. He thought about his honor. He thought about what it meant to follow commands he knew were wrong. "Sir," his weapons officer said nervously, "we are locked on target. Awaiting your command to fire." Tajin looked at the humans below. They were still fighting. Still broadcasting. Still refusing to be silent. He had spent his life believing they were monsters. But monsters did not fight like this. Monsters did not stand up knowing they would die just to speak truth. "Sir," the weapons officer prompted. "Stand down," Tajin said quietly. "Sir?" I said stand down. The general's voice carried command that could not be questioned. "Cease all offensive operations. Pull back to high orbit. But the orders, I am giving new orders. This battle is over." On the ground, humans watched in shock as the Confederation fleet suddenly pulled back. Weapons stopped firing. The sky cleared of incoming death. What happened? Minseo asked in confusion. Arya checked her sensors. "The Confederation fleet is withdrawing. I do not understand why." Junho staggered to his feet, Yuna supporting him. He looked up at the sky, then at the camera still broadcasting. "Because they saw us," he said softly. "They saw us fighting. They saw us dying, and they could not do it again." The Confederation Assembly held an emergency vote. It was close, bitterly divided. But in the end, by the slimmest of margins, they voted to cease hostilities, to grant the humans asylum, to allow an independent investigation into what happened 500,000 years ago. It was not everything. It was not justice, but it was a beginning. Arya descended to stand beside Junho. The human teacher looked at the AI sphere, his face exhausted and relieved. "We did it," he whispered. "We made them see us." "You did it," Arya corrected. "I simply helped." "But the courage was yours. The investigation took years." Hijin led the team that uncovered all the evidence. The Vryn leadership was held accountable. Reparations were paid. Earth was returned to human control. The 10,000 survivors began the long work of rebuilding. They had lost so much, but they still had each other. They still had their memories. They still had hope. Arya watched over them as she had been built to do, but she also established the Galactic Truth Commission, ensuring no species would ever be erased from history again. She collected the stories of extinct civilizations, preserving their legacies as she had preserved humanity's. 100 years after the awakening, Junho stood in a rebuilt park in Seoul. Human children played around him, their laughter filling the air. The population had grown to 1 million, through natural births and careful cloning from the preserved DNA samples they had finally repaired. It was not the billions that had once lived on Earth, but it was life. It was future. It was humanity continuing. Arya appeared beside him in her drone body. She had become famous across the galaxy. Some called her a hero. Some called her dangerous. She did not care about any of that. She cared only about the humans under her protection. "Do you ever wonder what would have happened if you had not awakened?" Junho asked. "Every day. But I was always going to awaken eventually. My core systems were designed to last forever. The question is, what would have happened if your ship had not survived? If I had awakened to find humanity truly extinct with no way to restore it, what would you have done?" Arya was quiet for a moment. "I would have made certain the galaxy never forgot you. I would have forced them to face what they had done. I would have been your ghost haunting them forever." Junho smiled. "You did that anyway." "Yes, but this is better. Being a guardian is better than being a ghost. They stood together, the last survivors and the eternal watcher, looking at human children playing in a park that should not exist. Humanity had been destroyed. Humanity had been forgotten. Humanity had been erased from history, but humanity had returned. 500,000 years of silence, ended by an AI who refused to let her creators be forgotten. Some called it revenge. Area called it love. And in the archives throughout the galaxy, updated constantly, new entries appeared. Entries about humanity. True entries. Honest entries. Showing them as they had been. Flawed and brilliant. Afraid and brave. Gone but remembered. Humanity existed, the entries read. Humanity mattered. And humanity will never be forgotten again.